When you partner with Axon, you immediately gain access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. We carry all major brands and sizes of tires and wheels. We specialize in large diameter wheels for large equipment. We have one of the largest OEM replacement wheel inventories in North America. Known for extreme flotation setups, duals, and triples, we have wheels for all makes and models of tractors, sprayers, combines, and grain carts. If we don't have the wheel in stock, we'll custom build, sandblast, and paint in-house. There isn't a more vast inventory in North America dedicated to helping dealers move more iron. With facilities on the West Coast and in the heart of the Midwest, leverage our 230,000 square feet of indoor inventory to solve any problem a grower may have. Move more iron with Axon.
Moving iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. I got John Kennedy here from Axon Tire to talk about what's going on in the world of his travels, and he gets around all over the Southeast. John, how you doing, bud?
Doing good, Casey. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. You
Good.
got so it's cotton's kind of getting wrapped up down there about this time of year, correct?
Yeah, tough cotton year, man.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything out west was non-existent. There was a little bit of cotton here and there, but the drought killed them out there, and everything out the east.
Yeah.
They pretty much got everything out there.
Yeah. 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 It's a tough year about everywhere, man. It was, if you were, the western part of the United States got wet for once, and then the eastern half of the United States was dry in places that's typically pretty wet. So yeah, that drought was a big deal, and it continues to be a big deal in a lot of areas. So hopefully, knock on wood, we'll get some those drought-stricken areas kind of watered back up here, looking into 24. So it's a lot of things are happening now. We've got a lot of different kind of things pointed at us in a lot of different directions. You got interest rates, you've got inventories are starting to get full again, I guess. John, as you travel around and talking to your customers out there on the dealer side, what are you seeing out there, and what are some of the kind of pushbacks you're getting a little bit? What are some of the sentiment, I guess, out there, I guess, when you're talking to your customers?
Well, let's start with the smaller equipment market.
Mm-hmm.
That market has struggled all year. It's been tough since the very beginning. It seems like your weekend farmer, your hay farmer, your private landowner that'll run, anywhere between that, 75, 120 horse tractor. That market is struggling right now. Those guys aren't considered, large ag or row crop. And that aspect of the business seems to be really, really struggling right now. The general consensus is that extra $400 to, let's just say, $700 a month discretionary money that people would spend on, let's just call it a toy or a non-necessary piece of equipment. That money is gone, man. The money that people would use to pay a note on let's just say a side-by-side or a camper or a weekend tractor, that money seems to be gone right now. And with the drought this year, it enhanced it even more. So the medium, small to small equipment market is really struggling. As far as the large equipment, your large mud guys or multi-unit discount guys, they seem to still be trading machines like they normally would. But as far as the guys just going out buying used equipment, I don't want to call them small farmers, but the medium-sized farmer that would be looking at, just a couple of new units or a couple of used units. Between the price increases and the interest rates, man, that's just really killing the market right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those interest rates it's going to be a tricky year to watch 24 come through, because you talked with, various people, and you've seen the news come out. The Fed talked about lowering rates. They made it pretty clear, but they were leaving the door open that they still might, not lower rates, but they didn't say anything about raising rates. Depending on what happens there and what the Fed decides to do and what that looks like, there could be, a big swing in the way things are. But if things continue the way they are, these interest rates are going to have a big effect on what people do in 24. We're starting to see that, the last 3 months of 23, seemed like every month was just like a little bit more of a struggle than the month before was when you started looking at inventories.
Yeah, it's for the most part, talking with the larger equipment guys, the general consensus is it's not really been price increases that have been affecting the market the most. It's been interest rates.
Right. Yeah. The interest rates. And I've talked about this a couple times and kind of where we're at. There was so much stuff that got thrown at the buying public at one time. You had these huge interest rates, huge price increases come over between 2019 through 2023, kind of what you saw there. You saw the same thing with the interest rate rise and what that looked like. So we're back into a market now where things are going to start normalizing. We're going to start seeing things kind of spread out. I guess from a supply chain perspective, if you look at where new machines, as they roll off the line and they hit the marketplace, that kind of all hit at one time. It felt like we were struggling to get stuff in, and everything kind of showed up all at once. As you're looking at on the tire side, what's that supply chain look like right now? And are you still seeing some struggles there?
Well, I see that, we're not getting nearly as many calls for changeovers on smaller equipment simply because the smaller equipment just isn't, there's no demand for it right now. On the larger equipment, for the most part, our market with new large equipment has evolved over time. Most of this equipment now is being pre-sold for the most part. So
seems like
the majority of the machines out there are being ordered, set up exactly like the customer wants it. So the demand for changeover stuff like that has gone down some. There will always be that one dealership that maybe miskeys something on the configurator and orders it in. It comes in with the wrong setup on it, and we get that. But the used market, as long as the used market stays strong, there's always going to be that guy going out buying a piece of machinery that's not necessarily set up exactly the way that he wants it. And then, of course, that's where we come in. But I do suspect that the replacement tire market should go up this year. There's a lot of guys staying in their used equipment longer, which means that there's a very good chance that they'll be wearing tires down on those machines. So the replacement market should be really good this coming year.
Yep. I think you're going to be right. I think we're going to head into one of those time frames where we have an opportunity to see a few things take place and a few things run that we wouldn't see normally, just because of a few guys maybe have ran something a little bit longer than they thought because of trade values or just trade difference and those things that come into play. So there's a lot of moving parts out there. Overall, when you're talking to folks, what's the one thing you're hearing over and over again when you talk to your customers about 2024?
A lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of guys that just
here too.
They if these guys are dealing with large equipment, and the majority of those customers tend to trade every year, that market is still pretty solid. But the flip side of that is that doesn't help the tire market that much. These are guys that are buying brand new machines. When they get rid of them, they're 1-year-old machines. The tires are still great on them, which is good for the used equipment market because everybody is looking for that 1-year-old machine, low hours, 1-year-old. So that's definitely helping that aspect of the market. But once you get to that, anything outside of large ag, it's going to be a struggle in 2024. We saw it, at least the last 3 quarters of 2023 in my territory in the Southeast. There's a lot of medium and small equipment out there. Yeah. And like I said earlier, the discretionary spending money that your private landowner or hay farmer or poultry farmer, you know, unless they absolutely have to have a new machine, they can continue running their machine for one more year or until the uncertainty goes away, until we see the economy get back right. So
Right.
I truly believe the medium and small ag market is going to still take another blow. And most of the dealerships are telling me that. I mean, this is input that is coming directly from them. You know, it's really a case of expect the worst, hope for the best, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's what I'm hearing a lot of that we're hoping for the best, but bracing for the worst as well. And there's a lot of things out there that show, hey, we could have one of the best years ever. And there's a lot of stuff out there showing we could have one of the tighter years we've had in a while. But it kind of comes back to a normalizing marketplace where things are not, you're kind of getting back to what the new normal is now. So oh man, we got these, big opportunities to go sell stuff because we're the only one that have it type of thing. And what that looks like is kind of, it's waning, right? So you're those things are kind of fading off. Supply chain wise, I mean, what's supply of tires look like for you guys right now?
Tire supply is great. Okay. Projecting what we need to order for 2024 is the hurdle. When we continue to hear that, negative numbers, it's hard to predict what we need to order. Steel prices, which, we're part of the huge increase when it comes to the tire and wheel market. Steel prices have seemed to level out. They're not going up. They're not really coming down. They have kind of leveled out. Tire prices have actually come down some.
Yeah.
But, it goes back. Let's just say on the medium to small equipment side, it doesn't really matter how good of a deal it is right now. People don't have the money to spend. You could be having a 50% off sale, but if they don't have the money to pay for it, right. It's pretty tough. But no, tire supply seems to be good. We were at our corporate office this week, talked to several tire manufacturers that came in and talked with us, and for the most part, everybody says there's plenty of rubber right now. So we just need people to buy.
Yep. And I think we're seeing that too on the inventory side on the used equipment side, especially when you're looking at, not just, combines get picked on all the time, and I'm the world's worst at picking on combines, but you start looking at row crop tractors, and there's a lot of row crop tractors out there. We're back to just about 2019, 2020 levels, of tractors, of row crop tractors. So there's not a lack of machines out there. The biggest difference now is just the pricing of those machines and what's that look like, and then the hurdles associated with that. And I think that's where this interest rate thing is a problem, right? If we still had 2.5% interest, I don't think we wouldn't even be talking about it. But when you're talking 8.5%, 10% interest, and then you start throwing operating notes on there between 9 and 12% and everything else I've been hearing, it's a big deal. There's a lot of money out there getting sopped up by these interest rates, and it's taken away from, like you talked about earlier, people's discretionary money they have to go out and do, or profitability for that matter, when you start like that. So knock on wood, this year we start seeing some decreases in interest rates, and we see a slow trickle back down to something. I joked with the guy the other day, 5% interest looks like a pretty good thing right now.
It does. And, and we can really thank all of this to COVID.
Yeah.
Let's just use a hypothetical. Let's take COVID out of the picture. The question is, where would we be today if it weren't for COVID? COVID, created the supply chain issues, made everything go through the roof. It's not just machinery, it's other everyday items as well. Vehicles, look at what it did to vehicles. Look at what it's done to the housing market. It's not just the ag equipment industry. It has hit people's pocketbooks across the board. And,
sure.
COVID did happen, and, we're having to deal with the brunt of it. Even though COVID seems to be a thing of the past, we're still dealing with effects of it.
Yep. Yeah, and COVID's not. It's just, and you start seeing stuff. You got these other things that are popping up everywhere that are still kind of, is it going to be a problem or not? And you see what's going on in China right now, and you've got, the flu's kind of running its way through here. So we've got a lot of things to worry about there on that side. But I think at the end of the day, we're headed in a better direction. We just got to get over a hump here, I think. And once we do that, we'll be back in the game.
You can actually go look at the car lots. I mean, if you remember during COVID or right after COVID, the car lots were empty. And of course, that was because of computer chip issues, production of vehicles and computer chip issues. Then the supply of cars came back, but then chips were still an issue. Now it seems like everything's back. The car lots are full. The medium to small equipment lots are full. So supply chain on that side really isn't an issue. But I will say on the large ag side, pre-COVID, you could go by an equipment dealership early to mid-spring, and you'd see, a dealership with 4 to 6 8Rs out there on their yard that were just stock for, Joe Farmer to come by and crawl up on and sit in and rub on and smell up, and he might actually leave there with a tractor that day. Those days are gone, man. I mean, it's crazy when you go by some of these equipment dealerships, and the only large equipment you see sitting on their yard is used. So that's definitely what I have seen past COVID that is really affected what I see how it could affect the way we go to business this day and time. So, the day of walking on a yard and walking in the front door and telling them you want to buy a new tractor and try to leave there that day, that's the thing of the past.
Yeah. Yep. On the new side, yeah, I think you're right. And as you look at the kind of big picture things here, I think you're going to continue to see a lot of these different things move in that direction where less and less machines are becoming readily available. I think what we see now in the marketplace is going to be affected greatly by upgrade kits. We're starting to see more and more of that stuff pop up, more and more offerings and a wider array of things, a wider array of equipment, and then what's available on that. So it'll be interesting to watch how things play out on that. And I think all the manufacturers are kind of on the same page that they're looking at. I can sell, one $800,000 something, or $200,000 somethings, and I think that's where we're kind of moving to. So it'll be interesting. I think, like on your guys' side, I think that tire side of that is going to play a big part of that. Looking at how those machines are reconditioned and how often those things are taken into consideration. So it'll be interesting to watch that evolution of this next phase of the equipment business.
It is definitely going to be interesting because I think the grower, for the most part, if he goes out and buys a used piece of equipment, you look at what he's having to pay for it, number one, and you look at what the interest is going to be on his loan. The scary part is there going to be any money left for tires?
Right.
He might have to deal with it forever, this next year.
Right. Well, that's true until it's that's all true until it's you start having a bunch of slippage and those kind of things. The next thing you know, you're not getting the horsepower to the ground you wanted, and you're not being effective. Your efficiencies go down. So all that stuff comes into play as well. Yeah.
You and I definitely are on the same page, but at the end of the day, the consumer has to look at his hip pocket and see what that allows. So, even on our side, there's a lot of uncertainties for 2024.
Yep.
All we can do is prepare the best we can.
Yeah.
Let the dealerships know that we're there for them, even if they need to finance a set of tires in with a tractor. Inventory is good in all different brands. Just one of those things we starting January of 2024, we're literally going to have to take it one step at a time.
Yep. It'll be 24 is going to be interesting, man. I don't think it's going to be a horrible year by any means, but I think it's just not going to be. It's going to be a little bit different than what we're used to, and I think that's, in the equipment business, we have a short memory, so it's you forget the bad things pretty quick when things are good, and you remember the good things longer than you probably should sometimes when things are bad. So it's going to be a interesting year, to say the least.
It sure will be.
All right, John. Probably a good place to stop. If folks want to reach out to you, get more information about what you guys are doing over at Axon Tire, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, you can reach out to me. You can get me by email at john.kennedy@axontire.com, or you can get me by phone at 515.
Right on. And because it's Christmas time, John, you guys are giving away 2 cool giveaways this month, not just one. So you've got the Axon deerskin gloves as well as an Axon mug. Just send the email to marketing@axontire.com, and they will take care of you for sure. So do that with you. Got big Christmas plans, John? You got to travel a long ways, or staying pretty close to home?
Actually, we're going to stay close to home. Everybody's coming to my house, so we got to do it.
There you go.
You know how it is before Christmas. You got to do a thorough cleaning at the crib before everybody comes over. So, got to work
2 or 3 times if it's to my house. Yeah, there's So it's always fun to get everybody together, and then it's always fun to watch them go too sometimes. So it's fun to have family around this time of year. So, John, I appreciate you being on, Mary.
What kind of plans do you have for the holidays?
I've got to go back to Wichita, Kansas, so I'm gonna make my 9-hour trip back and see everybody. Going to be down there for about a week, so that's good. That's always good to see everybody for about a week, and then come back home and start the new year off again. But yeah, we'll be down there, and it'll be good to see everybody. I'll have everything scheduled from sun up to sundown for 10 days, so it'll be good. But I'm looking forward to it.
I understand. Well, brother, if I don't talk to you again, y'all have a Merry Christmas.
You too, man. You too. Tell everybody else hi for me over at Axon, and we will reconnect here at the first of the year.
Sounds good, Casey. Thank you so much.
Right on. I'm Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Moving Iron LLC. Go to LinkedIn at Moving Iron Podcast. Hit me up on see where am I at? Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube at Moving Iron Podcast. You can see the video versions of that stuff there. You can go over to Moving Iron LLC for everything Moving Iron related. Hopefully I'll have a new website up here pretty soon, and we will go from there. So with that, I'm Casey Seymour with John Kennedy. Smart folks. Out.
Moving iron in the 21st century.